is, are you dreaming big enough? I want you to dream big and act bigger. You see, I want to have power. I want to be empowered. Suddenly, being empowered is a more positive word, because I want to make sure that I know my own values, my boundaries. I know what I want to achieve in life. Visible and invisible barriers are only a problem if you accept them as such. So a woman with a big dream also needs to have a plan, because without a plan, that dream is just a wish.
I love her confidence, I love her charisma, and her positivity and her brightness and her colour and her lessons about life. You know, as a woman who's been through so much, it was really, really inspiring and really interesting.
I had 4 kids in 2 years. I wanted to be a businesswoman. I had no money. I had to think, how is this dream going to happen? If you actually start believing if something's important to you, just back yourself. Back yourself despite what other people say. Successful people are not held back by what other people say.
I would recommend that for everybody, because everybody should have a dream and everybody should back themselves. So I think she's awesome.
Even when it feels like everything's not going to work, they go, you know what? I'm going to make sure that this does work. I'm going to be positive despite, because it brings energy, it brings opportunity. And as soon as you actually get half glass empty, your vision will start failing. I encourage you to start making your dreams a reality in business and in life. Thank you. Hello and welcome to our Mindset Magic Summit. I'm super excited to have you join us now, whether you're coming to us on YouTube or Facebook or LinkedIn, or even via the Women's Biz Tribe portal. I'm so thrilled to have you joining us at this summit, and I am thrilled to introduce you to a beautiful children's author. Her name is Diana Smith. So welcome, first of all, Diana.
Thanks for having me.
Such a joy to have you, and I'm looking forward to talking all things children's books because I love reading children's books. I did to my children and now to my beautiful granddaughters, and I just can't wait to hear your journey to becoming a children's book author. For those of you who don't know Diana, she's the author of a feel-good series. It's got the My Grateful book, My Welcome book, My Awareness book. She also has other books called like Bruiser's G'day at the Park, Bruiser's G'day at the Beach. He's got camping, he's got adventures with Clive, got all sorts of lovely, lovely, gorgeous books. And we are going to be talking about why it's so important to be writing to children and what children get out of writing, and what Diana gets as being the author of them, developing their beautiful emotional intelligence and making them happy, healthy adults in the future. So very excited to have you join us, Diana. I'd love you to start then this session with talking about, well, how did you go about publishing your first book? What made you think I'm going to become a children's author?
That's actually a funny story. I have worked for a dentist ever since I've been in Australia, but then he took a couple of years off, so I wasn't sure what to do. So I went and did a course in education assistant, and then I worked at a primary school, and I was in the kindy class, so it was great. I was getting paid to have fun with and read books to kids, but I hurt my back. And after I had back surgery, the surgeon said to me, you need to do something to strengthen your back. So I found a yoga instructor where we lived in Yanchep, and she used to come to the house and help me. And she just said that she was an editor of the local newspaper. And I said to her, I used to write when I was younger. I used to love the thought of being an author. Nothing came of it, and then she took a year off and was traveling around Australia, and she said, oh my goodness, I'm so bored, I need something to do. And I don't know what prompted me, but I sent her my Grateful book, the story of the gratitude book, and I sent her Clive the Clam, and I just posted them to her and said, do you think I can do anything with these? And she said, I know the perfect illustrator for my Grateful book. And she put me in touch with Sarah, who lived close to me at the time. And we caught up for coffee one day, and she said, she showed me some pictures, and it was exactly the style that I liked. And then when she said, well, what size book do you want? And I hadn't really thought about it. She brought out some books that she read to her children. And I said, I've got that one, and I've got that one. And they weren't normal books that you would have for your children. So we were, just on the same wavelength. So it worked out perfectly.
Yeah, that worked out so perfectly. And what a random way of suddenly finding your why of why you want to do something and actually launching into a new area by getting a back injury and actually suddenly by default working in an environment and then having a yoga teacher. I love it. I love the way just life travels along and suddenly you have these moments of, oh yeah, I've got a book. What I love about that sharing is that you actually already had the book. It's not as if you suddenly went, oh yeah, I could write or I could do that. There was something from your childhood, and I remember reading about you that you love Beatrix Potter, for example, and so you obviously grew up in an environment that really loved reading and stories, and the fact that you actually had an unpublished book or a couple in the wings probably showed that you always wanted to do that, but didn't know the next step, didn't know how. Did you not think they were good enough? What was holding you back when you actually wrote it to actually just sit on it at that time?
Well, it was funny. I wrote it like when I was about, I worked out I was about 10. We'd gone over to Sydney for my brother's 21st. We lived in New Zealand at the time. And Clive the Clam, it's written on an old typewriter. So I was a teenager. And they were just stories that I just put in the drawer. And it's funny, I did a radio show a while ago and she said, it's amazing, all the moves that you've made in your life and you kept them. But I never threw them away.
Yep.
So
it's funny what's dear to you, and I love that. I actually encourage that. I said that to even when my kids were growing up. You should write your stories now, like while your imagination's just going crazy and everything is possible. I think if you can tap into that and really encourage your children to actually just write when they're unrestricted and they don't have all of those, little limited beliefs that creep in as you get older and older, it's a fantastic time to write. So did you grow up in a family who was just surrounded by books? What was the
yes
for that?
Yes, we're all bookworms. Yep. Story time. Winnie the Pooh is very special to me and my sister. But yes, there was always books. I remember my brother giving me a beautiful Aladdin book, and the illustrations are just amazing.
So how did it go from you? Here you are, you've written your stories, but you then very much in the world of children's books, so much of it is about the illustrations and actually really bringing them to life in a colourful way. That's it, even the shape of them and what the child actually absorbs. Was that a huge process for you as an author to suddenly go, oh, there's this whole other half, if you like, of the book, which I'm going to have to be guided by someone else, actually partner up with someone else, or did you then miraculously learn to be an illustrator yourself?
Oh no, I wish I could draw.
Wouldn't it be great?
No, what put me on to Sarah for those books, and then with the Bruiser series, I found her on Facebook. She does pet portraits, but she's also illustrated a few books. She's actually in Florida, but she loves drawing the Australian animals.
How wonderful.
So that was those ones. And when I went back to work for the dentist, his wife mentioned to me, that our daughter's an artist. Maybe you could do a book with her, and then she can put artist and illustrator, on her resume that she's done something different. And I thought, I haven't written anything in a while. And then I remembered Clive. So I showed her Clive and I said, what do you think? And she said, oh, yes, I've got ideas for that already.
Fantastic.
So then Clive came about. So
what are the I was going to say, what are the lessons behind your books? What did you, when you actually get starting to write, you start, it could be an adventure of an Australian animal, for example, but you're obviously embedding deeper messages in your book for the reader. What are the main lessons or words of wisdom or truths that you're trying to have the child sort of capture?
With the Bruiser series, it's all about cooperation and teamwork, being kind to each other. With the gratitude series, I think these are lessons that I've had to relearn again as an adult, like the power of gratitude, with the welcome book, being good enough. I was telling a mum the other day, I think when mums are reading it to their kids, I want the mums to remember it too, that we are good enough. And then the awareness book is all about it's okay to have feelings, and it's just tools that you can use, just deep breathing, and it won't last forever.
So most
I think
messages you needed.
I just don't want kids to lose it. They get in that school system, and because they've got such good imagination when we're born, we've got such good imaginations, and just with school and parent, you kind of lose it a little bit. I want them to keep remembering, and hopefully they won't lose it like I did later on in life, if that makes sense.
It sure does, and I'm loving to tap into that a little bit more if you're okay with that. So often you write things because you're wanting to release them for yourself, have messages that you want to pass on for others, and you're saying there that you're actually writing them for the child to actually really embed from a young age that they are valuable, and kindness is important, and we want to be grateful. But you're also saying you're writing for the adult. What happened in your life? Why do you think you lost that? Do you think that's common amongst most people that you've met, or did you have a personal journey that you went, I needed to know this more?
Yeah, I think it was a personal journey. Like when I came to Australia with my first husband, then we separated, and And then I lived with another partner who was quite abusive. So I kind of went down that road of, oh, you know, I'm not worthy and I'm not good enough, you know, this is what I deserve. And it wasn't till I got out of that relationship and having counselling, and she goes, you know, it's not your fault, right? And I went, really? I've been told for the last 7 years that it is. And I think it was that journey of, finding myself again and just that self-worth and,
And have you been surprised and delighted when adults who are reading these books to their children actually go, you know what, that is actually a message that I need to hear? You know, that they're not expecting to get much out of the children's book, but they actually do.
Yeah. I did a market. We've just moved down south, and I did a market, my first market on Saturday, and there was a lot of teachers and things on holidays down here, and they're like, oh, we love these messages. And they were just, I've sold the most books I have since I moved here. They just, this is perfect for my classroom. This is what I need.
Oh, that is fantastic. That is fantastic. So you now do also workshops for children in Western Australia, where you live. So what do you love about the workshops, and what do the children actually do at that? Do they learn to write? Do you actually get into exploring what's in the book? How does that all work?
Oh, I've got a whole lot of different lessons. I usually do it around games, or there's a good one with balloons that I love to do, and it's so much fun. And it's about them teaching them about cooperation, and it's giving them a balloon that's all the same colour, and they blow it up and they write their name on it, and then we throw it in the middle of the room, and I give them a minute or so to try and find their own name. And of course it's all fun and laughing, and it takes them forever and they can't find it. So then I stop, the timer stops after a minute or two, and then next we put the balloons back in the middle, and then the next time it's pick up the balloon closest to you and give it to that person with the name on it. And how much quicker it is and easier when we actually do it that way.
Than being in a frenzy and just being about yourself. Yeah,
just thinking about yourself, thinking about others. Yeah, that's a fun one to do. But I've got a lot of board games things around gratitude, and like I've got a sheet with 1 to 10 and a couple of giant dice, and they throw the dice, and whatever number they get, like who's someone you're grateful to today, or what's your favorite song? Just things like that.
Does being with the children now in those sorts of workshops, or just connecting at the markets, is that what's inspiring your future books, or what are you currently, now, what's your current series about? And is that getting inspired by others, or is it still coming out of your own journey?
Well, it's funny. It's funny because, like, I wrote my grateful book, and then someone said, well, you can't just have one book. You've got to keep writing. And I went, oh, it's been years. I don't know if I still can. And then I sat down and my welcome book came out, and then the grateful book. And then the Bruiser series just started because we lived in a street where there was a park at the bottom of the street. And we used to take the Bruiser for walks every day. And then I suddenly thought, oh, hang on a minute, this could be a book. But it was funny. I was at my son's place. His flatmate was having a birthday party, and his auntie was there. And she teaches children that have problems reading. And it's funny how you just meet the right people at the right time. And she said to me, there's a big demand for teenagers who struggle with reading because you give them the, like a kindy book, and they're like, I don't want to read that.
Yeah.
That's the baby book. So that's what I'm working on at the moment, is trying to come up with an idea that will keep teenagers interested, but for easy reading.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
It's funny how right people just give you a nudge and you go, okay, that's what I've got to do next.
What have you learned most about yourself on the journey that you've had becoming now? You know, you've got a lot of books now happening and series, and you're looking at the next one. So you're right in your niche. But what have been the biggest shifts that you've had to have for yourself? You know, rather than someone say, oh, you could do it, and you go, oh, okay, to now be more proactive and more intentional in the way that you're approaching your role, your life as an author.
Yeah, I still have to pinch myself that, like, I had a session with my life coach yesterday, and she said, how did you go on the weekend? I said, oh, yeah, I sold 48 books, and carried on talking. And she says, pardon? Would you like to go back? I said, are you taking in what you just said? I said, what do you mean? She said, you just said you sold 48 books on the weekend.
Yes, that's awesome. Yes. That's amazing.
Said, I'm not letting it in. Like, I'm doing what I love, and it's great. But yeah, I've got to let it in more, and yeah, I'm doing what I love.
Well, that's an interesting point.
Why do we do that?
Yeah. Why do we do that? Why do you do that? Why can't you, you know, how are you measuring your success? So are you still pinching yourself going, this isn't real, I'll just still enjoy the ride, rather than be celebrating these moments of, oh my goodness, that's right, I can go out to a little fair or a market and sell 48 books. Like, that's amazing. And it's not just the sales, it's actually all those young lives who are now going to, and families who are now going to benefit from the words of wisdom that you've shared in those books. And also not just once, like many adults read a book, it's over and over and over again. You know, mine certainly do. They just, you know, children's books are one of those, when you crack it, they could read it, you know, read it again. And then they actually learn to read it themselves. That is such a joy. What do you think inside yourself at the moment, if you're still at that part of your journey, what stops you from going, you know what, I'm actually really good at this, and this is actually very exciting? Is that still a scary space for you?
No, not as much. I've learned so much along the way. You think you're just going to write a book and then that's it. Like, just getting on, you know, you need an IBSN number, for example, or you need a typesetter to put the words on for you, or you need a graphic designer to put it on Ingram Sparks so that you can put it on there. There's just so many things that I've learned along the way, but it's not so scary to me now, because there's so many people out there that are willing to help. And yeah.
And that's what I love about any new journey experience. Those watching, listening in, thinking, you know, well, how does this all happen? You go, it just happens very much like this, you know, that you actually go, you know, well, I've got something. How does the next step work? And then what are all the parts of that? And can I have people to guide me, help me, go with a professional group, you know, like myself, or have someone who you know about. There's people who will teach you things. You can watch YouTube clips. Lots of sites have their information on how things work as well. And then depending on your budget, you can learn it yourself, or you can outsource some components. It's a massive it's a massive opportunity just to really learn, isn't it?
Oh, it is, definitely. There was a young girl at the markets the other day. She said, oh, I've been writing and drawing. I love it. She said, I'm going to write a book one day. She couldn't believe that I was an author and I've written all these books. So I gave her my card and I said, when you're ready to write your book, ring me and I'll help you.
Oh, and I love that. And I want those listening in. There'll be plenty of people who are sitting there like you, Diana, going, you know what? I've got some words in a drawer. How long are you going to leave them in the drawer for? Like, you know, I think sometimes it's that first step, which is the biggest, boldest, brave step, because you go, well, is it of value to someone else? How does it measure up? I don't know what the next steps are. But you're testament to the fact that, yeah, that's right. You know, drag it out of yourself and just put yourself out there and then find out. You never know. It might be it might be great just as it is. It might need some editing. It might need a little bit of finesse. It might need you partnering with someone new. But all of those steps, have you found, are extremely achievable. Not as hard as you imagined, I bet.
No. And like you said, having an editor, my editor, she's just amazing. With the Bruiser series, the lady, when we did Bruiser at the park, her daughter's actually a singer. And I don't even know how I came to do this, but I sent it to her and she sang it. She put it to music and sang it. And then I sent it to my social media man that I had at the time, and he animated it. So Bruiser's actually became a nursery rhyme. And then with the Grateful series, I actually wrote a song, and my editor edited it, and then we sent it to the singer, and she sent it to me, and it sounded quite like a lullaby, and I'm like, oh no, I wanted it more upbeat with actions to it, so kids, once they put actions to it, they learn it quickly. So I said, it's okay, but I wanted it a bit more. And I said to her, because she's in Florida as well, have you heard of the Wiggles? And she says, yes. I said, more upbeat, more like that. So she said, well, can I edit it? Do you mind me editing? Because the words don't exactly go with the beat that you're looking for. So I went, yes, that's fine. So then she sent it back, and she plays, it's like a keyboard. And I went, yeah, I really like it, and it's more upbeat, but I'd really like more instruments in it. And she said, oh, well, do you want me to send it to my producer? Because she's a songwriter herself. She's got about 4 songs on Spotify. So I said, no, not at all. So I sent it to her producer. He added drums and things to it. And then all of a sudden, I had a song. I was a songwriter as well as an author. So that was pretty special. And then my children's dance teacher, who taught my kids how to dance when they were younger, I sent her the actions of what I thought. She included some more, because being a dance teacher, she knows how to activate the left and right side of the child's brain. So she put a lot of her actions in, and then we videoed it, and now it's on YouTube. So that was just amazing, the way it all worked out.
Yeah, that is just brilliant. I love it. And you would never have imagined that. So those who are watching thinking you've always got to know exactly what is my end goal, what's the dream, whatever. Sometimes you just don't know. Sometimes you just go into the moment and lean into it and see where it goes. And that's how you suddenly, have shows on television and they're animated and someone's picked them up and they actually go, you know what, this has got a great beat, or kids would love it, or yeah, that's right, someone famous finds it and reads it and says, oh, I could actually turn it into something. You just don't know. So there's no guarantees, but when you're loving your craft, and making finding other people who are in that space, it is absolutely incredible where things can go. So what's your words of wisdom for those people who are sitting there thinking, you know what, I'm encouraged by what I've heard from Diana. I think, I'd love to write my first book, or I'd like to get all of those scripts that I've written over the years of different things, dabbling. I want to do the next step. What's your advice for them today?
Show an editor, get in touch with an editor. And just see what they say, whether they think you can do anything with it. I mean, that's the great thing about editing. A lady at one of the daycares I went to, she said, oh, I want to write, but I don't know if I'm good enough. And I'm like, well, that's what they're for. It's like when you're in primary school and you teach your marks your English essay with a red pen. That's what an editor does. It goes through and makes what you've written that little bit better.
Yeah.
So even if you don't think it's that great, they can help you on the journey of making it better.
Absolutely. I think that's a really great way to be finishing up. That, what you've got will be very likely good enough to go to that next stage, which is the editor. And that's their full-time job, but they're not necessarily writers. We've all got different skill sets. And I absolutely love that. And I found that when writing my own books, you know, you've got to get your slabs of information out. You've got to get the structure and all that sort of thing. And then you're relying on them going to the next bit and going, oh, okay, I've actually fixed some of your grammar or expression, or, you know, I get a little bit lost here. I need some linkages, or I need you to give me some more information here to take the reader on the journey. You know, all of these sorts of things can actually come from a different professional in your team, even if you don't think you've got a team now. This is kind of how it works, and you'll be very, very surprised how quickly it can then suddenly get to the polished job. And then there's these beautiful skilled people, those people who are editors. Oh my goodness, not editors, illustrators. They actually just can make the most amazing transformation in a book, and it just makes it just so beautiful to read as well. So I thank you for sharing with us your journey on the summit today. And so those of you who are listening in, if you're wanting to reach out to Diana and actually go, you know what, I wouldn't mind talking to Diana. She's at dianasmithbooks2inspire.com. And so that's Diana Smith Books to Inspire. You can definitely reach out, find her there, find her some of her gorgeous children's books as well. You don't have to go to WA. I'm sure she's definitely online, and you can definitely reach out via here, or just drop a comment in the chat as well, wherever you're watching today, and we will be able to answer those, or definitely get in touch with you at our earliest convenience. So I think the moral of the story here is have a go. Don't hide it in the cupboard. Get it out of the cupboard, whatever it is. We're talking books today, but it might be something else. You might be an artist. You might have created something. You might be painting things, drawing things, writing things in this instance. We're all got these little creative flares in us, and it's actually such a tragedy to leave it in the cupboard. So we want to be able to big, brave, bold, bring it out, let someone else have a little look at it. And oh my gosh, we will celebrate you for the journey ahead, because it's super exciting to know where it will actually go. Thanks so much, Diana.
It's so amazing when you've got it in your hand. You've actually got the finished product in your hand.
I know. It's joy. It's just like, oh my gosh, talk about pinch myself then. It's like, oh my gosh, I actually created this. It's like, seriously, like birthing a baby. It's wonderful.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's your baby.
It is your baby, and then to have that, and then you get that pure joy, and then every time someone else reads it and then gives you feedback on it, on how that it impacted them. And that's what I love about books as well, that it can have a very different, you might have one key message, but people will pick up different things from it depending on what message they needed to receive at that time, or how they interpreted something. So it has got so much creativity that I absolutely love. And I congratulate you on the journey you've had thus far.
Thank you. It's been fun.
Hello and welcome. My name is Annie Gibbins, founder and CEO of Women's Biz Global. As a woman, a career executive, and mum of 5, I know that becoming successful in a modern day society, it can be extremely difficult and challenging. The requirements of career and business success are often overwhelming, especially when you have competing priorities like family. But that does not mean that you can't be extraordinary. At Women's Biz Global, our goal is to educate, motivate, and elevate women so that they can have the freedom to live a life they love. It doesn't matter what your current status or position is. Your empowered future starts now. Whether you're a startup or a scale-up, or you're juggling business, life, career, family, everything, we will teach you how to dominate in your niche area without the stress and overwhelm that comes from wasting time and money and energy. We will equip you to achieve success, balance, and happiness on your terms. We invite you to join Women's Biz Tribe. Start by attending Women's Biz events and enjoy the benefit of interacting with like-minded women from around the globe who are choosing to unapologetically play a bigger game. Women's Biz Coaching offers a variety of programs that may suit your needs. We have boot camps and webinars, online structured programs and incubators. They're all designed to help grow your personal and professional brand, confidence and support framework. Women's Biz Media will help you discover extraordinary women via our podcast, Memoirs of Successful Women, and reach 12 million potential readers via Women's Biz Magazine. Women's Biz Publishing will take all the pain away from getting your voice and message out into the world. Your brand value will literally skyrocket overnight. And if you would prefer to access our consulting services, I will personally ensure high value solutions are provided to meet your specific needs, to time, to budget, and all with a beaming smile. Finally, get to know our affiliate partners and learn how you might like to become one yourself. Women's Biz Global is the support network that will fast track your journey to success. So what are you waiting for? Be unapologetically you. Women's Biz Global, helping women succeed in business and life.